Well, good morning. I want to welcome everybody to this power session today, How to Be Your Best. I think this one's going to be quite interesting. It is at the heart of what I do as a coach and mentor, and I'm really excited to get started with you today. So let's just jump right into it here. That's me. And I am your trainer today. And I've been married for 37 years. My wife and I just had an anniversary celebration here in October. Our celebrations are not huge typically, so we had a very low-key one this year, but we are just very happy to be married and just have a great life together. Secondly, I have a mistress, not really. I have a keyboard downstairs, a Tyros 5 keyboard. That's my escape place, kind of my man cave, if you want to call that the basement. I go down and play the keyboard and sing some and just enjoy making music. The keyboard's amazing. I can have kind of my own little orchestra and band there and just tell it what to do. So it's nice to be in a place where you can tell things what to do. The third thing is I do own my own business, Beam Business Services. That's what this is about. I've been doing this for about 18 years, probably closer to 19. I started off as an Action Coach franchisee, but now I have my own business and do this independently for the last couple of years, and it's just very prosperous, doing very well, and again, just very blessed. I am a mentor, trainer, speaker, coach. So I do some public speaking when I have the opportunity. I'm mainly doing mentoring, training, and coaching and organizations, businesses, and nonprofits, and also work with several individuals in that regard. I work with people as an ACBC biblical counselor. That's the Association of Certified Biblical Counseling. I help people with personal issues, marital issues, depression, anxiety, and that sort of thing from a biblical perspective and paradigm. And again, that's kind of the other part of my functioning life outside the home. And I just appreciate that as well. Just enjoy helping people overcome challenges in their life. And that's my passion, to help people. I took this one, the granddaddy of all granddaddies, and put it at the end today, because I really want to introduce our topic with a granddaddy story. And some of you who've heard me for years or have been following me, you just get to hear this story again. But it's the story about my grandchildren. Grandparents are good at stirring things up. And I'll make it very clear about how this story ties into our topic, but I just want you to enjoy the story right now. I had this granddaddy seizure one day. I decided I was going to do something crazy with my two grandkids. I think they were around 6 and 8 years old at the time, in that range, a little boy, a little girl, Darren and Aubrey. And so what I did was I took them to Walmart. This was not their birthday. It wasn't around a holiday or Christmas. It was no special occasion at all. It was just middle of the week, and I decided to do something fun with them. And I also am a little bit curious. I like to run experiments with my grandkids. They're like guinea pigs, but I just find children interesting and how they react. So I thought I was going to run this, and I was willing to pay the cost. So here were the rules of the game. I took them to the toy aisle, area of toys, and I said, there is one rule today that we have. Of course, they're all kind of hyper and excited because they don't know what's going on. I said, you can have whatever you want. And I said, that's the only rule. Well, can I have this? Can I have that? I said, one rule, you can have whatever you want. So Darren started out, he saw the Lego castle. He pointed up on the top shelf and he said, Granddaddy, I'd like to have the Lego castle. And can I have that? And I said, you can have whatever you want. And he said, well, I guess I want that. You could see a little stress on his face. because here he is with all these choices and he chooses that. So I put it in the basket, and his sister says, well, I want something like that too. And I said, you can have whatever you want, Aubrey. And she said, okay. And so we're going around and he starts to stress out and he says, I don't think I want that. I want to put that back and get two smaller things. Can I do that? I said, Darren, you can have whatever you want. And so he put those, that Lego castle back, and he got two smaller things. And she said, well, but I want two. Can I have two? And I said, you can have whatever you want. She had two things. We left. Everybody was happy. There is so much richness in that story. But for today, what I want you to see in that story is this. Those two little kids were there in that toy aisle, and they were totally overwhelmed. They looked around and they saw all these things that they could have, or at least Granddaddy said they could have them, and they just didn't know what to choose. Now, how that ties in with today's topic, folks, is this. I am coming to you as your coach, your mentor, your trainer today, and I'm saying this. You can have your best life. You can have a great life. You can be your best. And frankly, most of us, including this one here, don't always believe that. And I think it's kind of a difficulty or a challenge with my industry. I'm trying to assist people in becoming their best person, reaching business potential, reaching personal potential, finding their goals, finding their life, finding their meaning, finding their purpose, finding, overcoming challenges. And most people feel very inadequate at times. They don't think they can do that. And so they don't really like the self-help, if you want to call this the self-help industry, or those books or those things, because they feel intimidated. They feel like those two little kids standing in the aisle, just overwhelmed with all the things that they could have. And folks, I'm warning you today, you're going to be overwhelmed probably if you track with me today, because you're going to be presented with all the different areas in life that you could be better. And it could work counter to you if you take that the wrong way. It's like when we finally decide we're going to make a change. We finally decide we're going to be different. We finally decide we're going to step up to the plate and do something. It can feel overwhelming. I don't want that to happen today too much. I want to warn you about it so then when you feel it coming, you can say, this is normal. This is typical. This is what happens to the human being when they challenge themselves to be the best they can be. So don't get overwhelmed. And I'm going to give you a way at the end on how to overcome that overwhelm. So that's where we're headed. Let's move on. Here are my rules of the game. You've seen them many times if you've been around me. The first one is you need to own it. I think this topic is all about ownership. You're going to step up and say, I'm going to own my life. I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to make any more excuses. I'm not going to blame other people. I'm going to be accountable and responsible and step up to the plate and go for it. The second rule, 100% participation. That's the all-in rule. What it means is I'm going to give what I have 100%. I'm going to give what I have 100% to this 1 hour together or this 50 minutes together. I'm going to fully engage and be present and work on this. I would say anybody that would come to something like this is quite busy. Anybody that comes to this has a lot of responsibility. I can't imagine a person wanting to be the best they can be and be sitting at home, not doing much and not being that engaged. There may be somebody here that's not real active. We welcome you. I'm not saying that, but what am I saying? You're a busy person. You have a lot on your plate. You took an hour or so out of your day to come here and invested in this. Give yourself to it 100%. When I say, let's stop and think about blah, 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 stop and think about it. When I say write something down, pull out a pad and a paper and something to write on and write it down. Participate in the activity today 100%, and you'll get the most out of this. That's a choice you're gonna make. I choose to participate. I choose to own it. I choose to drop my I know. If you've been around the self-help industry, you've probably heard most everything I'm going to say today. You will find nothing really new today. I doubt anything will be very novel. But if you think you already know all this, and if you have that mindset and that thought process, then what you will do is learn very little today. If you will be a little child and just come in and say, I don't really know anything about this, or I know very little about this, which is really the truth, then you will open your mind to new ideas and new thoughts and creative ways to approach the challenges you have, and you'll get so much more out of this. The fourth one is we're going to have some fun. And the way you have fun with things like this is just don't take it all too seriously. We've got a lifetime to live. We're not going to get it all done today. So we're just going to enjoy the journey and have fun together. So I welcome you to own it, to participate 100%, to get rid of your I know, and to have some fun. Going to give you a moment just to say, I'm going to make those 4 choices. That's to maximize your experience today and to maximize the value of this. Okay, hopefully you've all made those choices and you've said yes. Destination. We're going to talk about the future. We're going to talk about your future. And we've got the little line there. Again, this is not a new chart. We've got a new one coming up, but this is one that I've used quite often. It's just a little arrow. And if you look at that arrow and you go to the left of the arrow, you've got your past. All of us as human beings have this amazing ability to leave our present moment and go other places. It's called imagination. It's called the ability to think and to use our minds to travel outside of our current present situation. So that's one place we can certainly all go, is to our past. We have selective memory of our past. It's not completely accurate, but the point of today is you can go outside of your present place to the past. It is where most people go in the present to start to plan their future. So people sit and they think, well, I want to get better. I want to be better. That's why I'm on this program with Dave Beam today. I want to be a better person. I want to improve something in my life. So I imagine he's going to talk about setting some goals, and we'll talk about that later. Where do you go to determine what that goal is going to be? What the size of that goal is going to be? How much different the future is going to be than the present? Here's where most people go. By default, they go to their past. They look at their past performance. They look at their past struggles. They look at their past victories. They look at their life up until now, and they evaluate based on that what they believe they can do in the future. And I'm telling you that that will not take you to being your best. That may create some improvement. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But if you want your future to look much like your past, then go to the past to get your thinking and your goal setting. And believe me, if you set meager goals, you will not go above them. It's not very likely that you'll do better than that. Most likely you'll live up to that or you'll get close to it, but you probably won't exceed it. As I stood there in that Walmart aisle with my grandkids and said, you can have whatever you want, their belief, their limiting belief said, well, he doesn't mean anything. He means maybe something big, maybe 2 things, but they were unwilling, just human beings. They had a scarcity thought. I can't really have all that, can I? And when we go to our past we're going to say to ourselves, I really can't do that. I really can't become that. I'm suggesting today, folks, that we go somewhere else. That we, like in our minds, we can go to our past, we go to a different place, not a default future that looks like the past, but to a created future that looks very different. I want you to stretch yourself today. I want you to challenge yourself today. I want you to think, what if? I want possibility thinking to occur today. What if I could be better? What if I could be really better? What if I could really become and create myself as a different person in some areas? And we're going to look at every area. But I want you to get this destination slide really kind of cemented in your head right now, that you are right with me in the present moment, right in the middle of that chart. And you're standing at a choice about where you're going to go to get your thinking and your attitudes and your ambitions and your ideas. Are you going to go to your past, or are you going to go somewhere new? I'm challenging you, if you want to be your best, to go somewhere new. So let's go. What does the best you look like? If we want to be something, we want to change something about ourselves, we have to have a vision of what that looks like. If you want to change your business, if you're a business owner, you're a manager of a team, you have to communicate a vision of what that looks like. If I want to be my best self, I have to see before I experience. That's the way you make something. I'm going to sit down and bake a cake. I want to see the picture of the cake finished. Maybe I even want to taste that. Somebody else has made it and they give me the recipe. But I want to see that, what it looks like, and then I want to look at the recipe of how to get there so that I can then take the action to get to the end. Stephen Covey in his 7 Habits book says it this way: begin with the end in mind. Where do you want, what does the best you look like? Well, we need to look in the mirror today. Now, I don't know about you, but most people like to keep their video off on Zoom. Why is that? I don't think we like to look at ourselves. Folks, there are some great ego, people that really think they're awesome and they love to preen and look at themselves. But I would imagine most of you on this call are like me. I don't get real excited gazing into a mirror and looking critically at myself, especially as I step out of the shower. It just doesn't inspire me, frankly. And even looking at our characteristics and our personality and our interaction with others, this self-reflection, this slowing things down to take a look in the mirror, it is not a comfortable experience. If you do this well today and you participate 100%, you're going to see a lot of flaws. You're going to see a lot of things you don't like. Folks, that's okay. Can you lighten up and just be a human being and be okay with yourself and realize you're not perfect? You're like other people. Let's just be honest. Let's just be open. So look at yourself physically. Now, right now, I'm just asking you to do this in your head. But when you look at your physical appearance, when you look at your physicality, your fitness, everything to do with your body, what would the best you look like? Now, you're all going to have a different answer for that. This is a very personal thing. What would you look like if you were the best you? You might say, exactly like I look today, and I am cool as a cucumber with that. But you also may say, I'd like to see some changes there. Just take a moment and look in that mirror, that created future mirror. Say, here's what I'd like to look like. Here's what I'd like to, this is my level of physical fitness I would like to have. Mentally, the way you think during the day, the way you process things, the way you think about things, your ability to solve problems, your ability to study and focus and read and take care of mental activity. What would the best you look like mentally? Again, just take a moment. If you've got a piece of paper there. You might want to take a pen and just write some notes down or a couple of words. Here's where I would like to improve mentally. Emotionally, maybe you're a grump. Maybe you're a complainer. Maybe you lack some gratitude and you're just a little down in the dumps, and you kind of develop some habits around some emotional things you don't like. Or perhaps you're a little bit hyper and you're so joyful and cheerful and bright that other people get a little blinded by your presence. You need a little bit of emotional stability. You need a little bit of a tempering there. I don't know. This is just a personal thing. You're going to look in the mirror and say, how would the best emotional me, what would that look like? Socially, we're talking about relationships. We're talking about the people you work with, the people that you live with, your family, your spouse, your kids, your teenage kids, your grandkids, your grandparents, your parents, all that social interaction you have with church members and community members and different people that you're around. What would the best you look like socially? Maybe you'd like to be a little more outgoing. Maybe you'd like to be a little more friendly. Maybe you'd like to be a little less overbearing. I don't know, but we're just looking in the mirror right now and saying, what does the best me look like? Financially, when you look at your checkbook, you look at your bank balances, you look at your financial future. Do you see health? Do you see wealth? Do you see things that make you feel good? Or do you see anxiety? Do you see worry? Maybe the best you would be different financially. And finally, something that is so near and dear to my heart is spiritually. The connection you have with your Creator, the connection you have about purpose and meaning and why in life. Spiritually, do you look in the mirror and see somebody who has peace, somebody who has confidence and security, or are you disturbed when you think of your spiritual life? There they are: physical, mental, emotional, social, finance, and spirituality. I think that's a pretty well-rounded list. As you look in the mirror, what does the best you in each of those areas look like? That's a key question for this morning. Let me give you a moment just to go through that list in your mind and think you through each one. Maybe take a couple of notes. And the warning from the beginning of today, don't get overwhelmed. Don't get down on yourself right now. Don't get upset. Don't start to feel that pressure. This isn't New Year's. We're not doing New Year's resolutions. We're doing some real deep work within our own selves to see, what does my best me look like, and where is it lacking, and where could it be improved, and what could I work on? This could be exciting. This doesn't have to be negative. Okay, once you can start to picture that in each of those areas, then you're going to see a familiar formula for me called the be, do, have. You have now gotten some clarity around what you want to have. You've gotten a picture in the mirror of what you want to look like. You've begun with the end in mind. And now we're going to look at what you have to do to have each of those things. And more importantly, who you need to be to do the things you need to do to have the best you. So if you have a picture of your best you, what do you need to do to have that? And who do you need to be that? And that's what we're going to look at now. It's kind of like a tree. If I want apples, I plant apple seeds. If I want pears, I plant pear seeds. In other words, the reason I have a fruit tree is because I want fruit. It's how you're visible and showing up in the world, in your world, in the world of other people, and in your personal world. What fruit are you bearing? The fruit identifies the tree. I know that's an apple tree because it has apples. If the tree doesn't have any fruit, I'm not sure what kind of tree it is. It may say it's something, but it's when it has that fruit that I know what it is. And that fruit is based on its root. As a coach, I help people work on the fruit, looking in the mirror and seeing what fruit they see, and then going down to the root to say what in their identity and what in their activity needs to change to produce that fruit. That's what we're doing today. Now we're going to do some hard work now. So roll up your sleeves, and we're going to take each of those 6 areas, and we're going to talk a little bit about what you might want to have in each of those areas, but then we're going to look at what you need to do and what you need to be to have that. So this is just some practical suggestions from your coach today on how to take that picture of who you want to be, that ideal you, that best you, and what do you need to do that, and who do you need to be. So there are our 6 areas: physical, mental, emotional, social, financial, spiritual, and we're going to take each one and we're going to do the halves first. Perhaps physically you want to have more fitness. Maybe you've got a health issue that you really need to focus on, you want to focus on. Maybe your energy level is just not where you would like it to be. The best you would be more energetic. Maybe it's just basic function. There's some functional things you'd like to do physically you're not able to do right now. We're not talking about necessarily being the fittest person in the world, unless that's your goal. And if that is, I'm all about it. I'm talking about when you look in the mirror and say, for me, the best me would be, we go to that created future and we look and say fitness, health, energy, function. Those are ones that I picked out. You may have some others. Mentally, perhaps you would want to have more clarity in your thinking. Maybe you live in a fog, or you get confused quite often, or you just don't think clearly, and you'd like to work on that. Maybe there's some things you'd like to learn. You have a lack of knowledge and you'd like to improve that. Sometimes you might lack the ability to be logical. We're talking about cognition. We're talking about thought process and even intelligence. You know, so many of us have bought into the lie that once you graduate from high school, you're pretty much done, or college. And once you leave school, that it's over. That is not true. We can improve our lives every day till the day we die. It can happen. Why doesn't it happen with most people? Because most people don't believe that. Most people don't act that way. I hopefully am talking to a group of people this morning that say, I believe I can have more. I can be better. I can do more. And so we're talking in the mental realm. Perhaps you want to be more clear. You want to be more knowledgeable. You want to have better logic. Emotionally, I use the word presence. How would you like to be with people, or even be with yourself and just be happy and just be very present and in control and calm and aware and optimistic and patient? And we could go through the whole list of joyfulness and kindness, that you actually felt those things. That's what you want to have. The best you would have that kind of presence. That's a great thing to look at, and to look in the mirror and say, I'm beginning with the end in mind, Dave. I'd just like to have more emotional control, more calmness. Socially, I'd like to be better connected. I'd like to improve my relationships with my spouse, with my friends, with my community, with my team at work. I've got some specific social relationships, specific individuals that I would like to improve the relationship. That's what I'd like to have. Financially, frankly, what people want in finance area is often security. They just feel very insecure. Some people are not knowledgeable about finance, and they fumble around and they're worried. They want more control of their financial future. They want a confidence. And then we all want to have things. There are all things in life that we want: a particular car, a particular house. Maybe it's a particular lawnmower. I don't know what you'd like to have, but let's include everything. We're sitting there with my grandkids in Walmart, looking at the shelves, saying you can have whatever you want. This is the time, folks. This is why we're here today. I want you to think about what you want to have. You don't need to get all worried and excited about it. Just make the list. And finally, spiritually, maybe you lack some assurance. You get very fearful and nervous when you think about spiritual matters. You don't have a clear purpose and why and values in life. You don't have that sense of goodness and peace and faith and connection with your Creator. This would be a great day for you to look at that foundational piece and say, I'd really like to have something different there, something deeper. I'd like to come back to something I used to have that I don't have now. This would be a great time for you to personally think about that. So there are the haves in these areas. Now we're going to go to what we need to do. And again, what I want you to get from this part of what we're doing together is I want you to see the process. If you can see the process by using those 3 simple words, be, do, have, you can start to create a new future. It starts in your head. You got to do it for sure. To have what you want to have, you got to do what you got to do. But I think you plan it and understand it first. So if you want to have more fitness, health, energy, and function, I would strongly recommend you read a little book by Tom Rath called Eat, Move, and Sleep. I think those 3 basics are amazing. And frankly, the one I would suggest you start with is sleeping. If you're not sleeping 7 to 8 hours a night, you're sleep deprived. That's just a health fact. Now you can say, I don't need that much sleep, I'm different, blah, blah, blah. You can refuse to look in the mirror and not measure that and take a look at it. Or you can say, this might be the foundational #1 thing that I need to work on to change my life. I need to get some more sleep. Folks, I can send you a lot of information on how to sleep better. You could get that book by Tom Rath, and the why and the how to, because we have the internet, is out there. That is not what's missing. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to change my sleep. That is crazy. You could Google that in 5 minutes and have plenty of great information and ideas you could start to see and understand how to do that. It's the fact that we haven't slowed down to look in the mirror and be honest. I really think that's what's missing. Some of you are getting too little sleep. It's going to be very difficult, impossible, to have the best fitness, best health, best energy, best function if you're not sleeping. Eating, I won't go off on it today. That isn't what this is about, but frankly, we're a carb fest, sugarholics. Man, we do not eat in a way that we're going to have our best us. The reason diabetes is rampant is because people are just not eating healthy. Now, I know that's not absolutely true and that people have tendencies, and I'm not beating up on anybody, but I'm just saying, folks, there is great information out there today on how you need to eat to be healthy. Move. The human body was meant to move. We're not meant to be static and just sit all day long. The fact is, if you're not moving, you're not eating healthy, and you're not sleeping, you're not going to have the best fitness, health, energy, and function you could have. And then this simple one, oxygen. Before we need to eat, before we need to sleep, before we need even to drink and quench our thirst with water, we need to breathe. And have you ever been taught how to breathe? You ever had anybody help you work on that? It's amazing with some exercises and a few changes that you can learn how to breathe in a way that will change your life. I didn't know that. I've got some great information on that. If you want it, can send it out to you for free. If you learn how to breathe from your diaphragm, from your belly, you slow that down, you can change your physicality. You can start on a new path just by learning how to breathe differently. Isn't that interesting? Let's move on to our mental health. If I want to improve my knowledge, maybe in my career or my job or my business, or just I'm a learner and I like to learn things, I need to be a reader. I've had a lot of people that say, I just don't like to read. That's a shame. It's becoming a lost skill, isn't it? Folks, readers expose themselves to so many teachers and mentors. I can have so many great coaches and mentors just by learning how to read, just by not learning how to read, but by actually practicing it. Listening is a skill. If you want to increase your mental well-being and your mental health, you need to learn how to listen. This one, think. My goodness, if we're all honest and look around us, people are losing the ability to just think. You don't have to be one of those people. You don't have to go to that default future. You don't have to follow the herd. You can say, I'm going to be a thinker. I'm not going to give up that human freedom to think and to read and to listen and to contemplate and to study and to observe and to be alive, folks. We don't have to become dead in our heads. Even as we get older, it's been proven that older folks, like people like me, I'm an older folk, I'm 65, you know, they stay mentally connected. We can keep a sharpness if we practice it. We don't have to go the default future. We can choose a different path. And if we want to have clarity, knowledge, logic, cognition, intelligence, then we need to do something about it. We need to read more often. We need to learn how to really connect and be present and listen and think and study and observe and contemplate and do the things that will cause us to have that emotionally. If we want to be more present, more happy, more emotionally controlled and calm and aware and optimistic and patient, frankly, emotional health, this is a real key to this to today. This might be the one nugget you get today that will just make so much sense. Emotional wellness is really a result of being well in the physical, social, spiritual, and mental areas. In other words, it's hard to change your feelings. Somebody said it this way, feelings are never wrong. What does that mean? Feelings are just the dashboard that light up that show me where I'm at. And I'm saying if you want to be emotionally more happy, in control, calm, aware, optimistic, patient, you need to work on your physical, mental, social, financial, and spiritual health. That's the key to emotional betterment. So let's move on to social. You having trouble with your wife or your husband or your teenage child or some of the people you work with on your team? Communication, it's a skill. It's something that we rarely get taught how to do it well. There's a lot of great information out there and a lot of great coaching and development around how to communicate better. Service is amazing. If you will start to put other people ahead of yourself and serve them, you'll be amazed at how your social life will start to change when you become a giver, a sharer, somebody who loves to connect. Folks, this is a challenge for some of us. Maybe we're in a habit of just being self-centered and self-focused. If you want to have your best social life, be the best you socially, self-centeredness just doesn't get it done. That independent, it's all about me and I don't care about other people. Socially, you're going to be pretty mediocre and not real good if that's who you are. And I'm saying, well, was that wrong? I'm not judging you on that. I'm saying some of you are looking in the mirror and saying, socially, I want to get better. How can I do that? Learn how to communicate better, practice better communication. Find a way to serve some folks and connect with some people. Share, find a place to share and to give, maybe a community service, maybe a role in your church. I don't know, but socially reach out and take some action. Financially, common sense, but not common practice. Go to work. I'm just an old guy talking to you now. Go to work. How do you improve your financial situation? You go work and earn some money. And then you take a portion of that and you save it. And you take a portion of that and you invest it. And you work off a plan, which is called a budget. Now, I'm not picking on you. If your financial is not on your radar right now, you can ignore this. But if you thought, man, I really need some work on my finances, this is it. I had a coach that told me once, well, what's your saving plan? I didn't have one. He said, well, just work on that. I paid him big bucks for a 30-minute call that said all I had to do was start saving. And I did, and it worked. It's simple stuff sometimes, but you know, what's easy to do is easy not to do, in the words of Jim Rohn. He's a philosopher I love. What's easy to do is easy not to do. But if we want to have what we want to have, there are things we need to do to have those things. That's the way life works. It's called sowing and reaping. If I want apples, I plant apple seeds. If I want ragweed, I let the weeds grow, and I let their seeds go to seed. Or I clean my bed and I plant what I want and I weed out what I don't want. That's how we have what we want, is by doing good gardening in our heads. Finally, spiritually, if you want to have a peace with God, an assurance, a purpose, a faith, a goodness in your life, ask. That's humbling. That's prayer. Just ask God and say, I want this. I don't think I have all this. I think I'm weak here. Ask. Start to read. Of course, being a believer, a Christian believer, I love the Bible. Read, listen, consider, and wrestle. Wrestle with the difficulties of life. Wrestle with the why you're here. Wrestle with those deeper questions. Quit avoiding them. If you want to really come to that place of peace, you sometimes have to wrestle to get there. You have to strive. You have to work at it. And that's my sermon for the day. Let me move on. Now we're going to go back and look at the real interesting column here is, who do I have to be to do these things, to have these results? So here we go. If you want to work on that physical side, you have to be a committed person. You have to be a consistent person, a structured and a knowledgeable person. If you're going to eat differently, sleep more, move and exercise, renew yourself and breathe. We're going to do all those things to have that fitness and energy. There are some fundamental values and being that we need to work on. We have to work on being a committed person. Mentally, if we're going to have clarity, knowledge, logic, cognition, and we're going to read more, we're going to need to do some things. We're going to need to read, listen, think, study. Well, what kind of person do we need to be to do that? Well, we need to be curious. We need to slow down in life and start to become curious like little children. Again, as a granddaddy of all granddaddies, I love to see the younger children, the little toddlers, how curious they are. We need to be committed to some of these habits and changes, and open-minded and studious and discerning, and become a learner. I think the big identity statement for somebody who wants to mentally be their best is, I am a learner. I am open-minded. I am curious. I am studious. I am discerning. I'm a thinker. Oh, Dave, that's just not me. Start to declare it. Start to shift the way you see yourself in that mirror. Begin with the end in mind. Folks, we don't get there without starting in our heads where we want to go, and then we start to take those steps. Emotionally, we talked about this at the beginning of today, like we always do. We need to own it. I need to be an owner of my emotions. I need to quit making excuses and just saying that's just not my personality when I'm just a jerk. Frankly, when I show up like a grumpy old granddaddy like I do, that's on me. I can say, well, I'm just old. That's just expected. Why would we go to that default future? I don't have to be a grump. I don't have to be impatient. I don't have to be angry at people all the time and abusive. Or I don't have to be sad and withdrawn and anxious. I can emotionally start to work proactively on all these other areas of life that will improve my emotional state. I need to learn how to be empathetic and gracious. And then this little leaf you, this is a client of mine gave me this. I love this. This may be another one of those nuggets. You're saying, what am I going to get out of this today? Leafu, Leafu. Let me give you the words. This would be great for you to write down. You're going to declare this. You're going to declare this about this is the direction where this is who you're going to be. I'm going to be loving. I'm going to give love. I'm going to give encouragement. I'm going to be an encourager. I'm going to be accepting of other people. I'm going to be loving and encouraging and accepting. I'm going to be forgiving. That's the F. And I'm going to be understanding. Folks, let's just marinate in that little Leafu for just a moment emotionally. What would it look like in life if you showed up loving other people, encouraging other people, accepting other people, forgiving other people, and understanding other people? That might be the one thing you walk out of here with today from this webinar, and just put down that Leafu: loving, encouraging, accepting, forgiving, and understanding. I want you to think of someone that you're challenged with right now emotionally. You get around them and your emotions just go to the tank. Could you proactively choose to own that and say, as an emotionally intelligent person and an empathetic, gracious person, that's who I choose to be. I'm going to love that person. I'm going to encourage that person. I'm going to accept them. I'm going to forgive them. I'm going to understand them. Wow. That could be huge. There might be someone that you need to be that way towards if you want to be the best emotional you. Socially, I'm going to choose to be caring and friendly and trustworthy. You want to have a good friend? You want to have a good social connection with someone? Be trustworthy. Do what you say you're going to do. Be a friendly person. Be dependable. Be somebody that people can depend on. That will improve your social life. What'll kill your social life is when you don't follow through on your commitments, when you don't return your emails, when you don't talk to people, when you ignore people, and you don't really care about them. That's just common sense. Again, this is just good old common sense talk today. Financially, who do you need to be to work, save, invest, and budget so you can have security, control, confidence in the things that you want? You need to be disciplined and persevering and informed and structured. Maybe your biggest challenge in the financial world is you just haven't learned enough. You just don't know enough. And again, there's plenty of information available to all of us. We do not lack how to. It's just sitting down and choosing and saying, as I look in that mirror, Dave, my financial life needs to be better. I want to have something more. Maybe that's the area you're going to choose today to work on. You might want to start by getting some information. You may say, I know what to do. I just haven't sat down and structured it and disciplined myself. Get a financial advisor. Get somebody to help you that you trust that's good at finance to help you with that. A lot of us are just too proud, too independent, and we don't get any help. I would look at any of these areas that I want to change and improve and get somebody to help me. Finally, spiritually, who do I need to be? If I want to really develop an assurance, a purpose, a faith, a goodness, a peace with God, I need to be humble. I need to quit thinking that the universe surrounds me. I need to look at the size of the universe and think about how little and insignificant I really am in the grand scheme of things. So I need to find my significance in the one who created all this. I need to seek. I need to be discerning. I need to listen and think about what I'm hearing. And is that right? I need to wrestle with some things and some concepts. And I need to be at some point trusting and willing to submit and change. That's what it takes to have a spiritual transformation in being. So there there it is. And I want you to just soak in that a little bit. Again, if you ask for this chart, I'll send it to you. I think it's just a lot of advice on a chart. It's what it is. But I like the Be Do Have system. It kind of helps you break it down into pieces, and so that you can see each component and really get clarity. Clarity plus action gets results. If I want a certain result, I need to get clear. And I think a tool to break things down like this helps. So what do I do now? We're going to pull this together now into what do I do now? Based on all this information, this overwhelm, I'm standing in the Walmart aisle with you, I'm your grandchild today, and you said I can have whatever I want. Here's all the possibilities, and I'm just totally overwhelmed. What do I do now? Well, John Maxwell said this: you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishments, and that bridge must be crossed every day. So I've got a little picture for you. Here's your goal. After all of today, you're going to think of something you want to have. That's your goal. That's what I want to achieve. That's how I want to be best. And I hope to accomplish that, Dave. I want to get from just wanting it and having a goal and having it in my head and to getting it done. What is the bridge that will take me from my goal to getting it done? And it's daily discipline. Are you surprised? It's the little things we do every day that take us to the accomplishment of our goals. Let me say that again. It's the little things we do every day that take us to the accomplishment of our goals. So here, out of all this volume, I've just done a real data dump today. Out of all that, we're going to bring it down to this simplicity. Pick one thing, one action, that if you'll start doing it, that as you practice that habit of doing it daily, will have the most positive impact on your life. Out of everything we've looked at today, you look in that mirror, what's the one thing that would have the most impact, that if you had it, would make the biggest difference? What do you need to develop daily that will take you there? One thing, just one. Some of you made a list of 9 things you're going to do. That's fine. Go through the list and put a star by one. And then secondly, what's the one thing that you will stop doing that as you eliminate it completely will have the most positive impact in your life? Somebody told me this once. You know, we get in these little do better seminars or whatever you want to call this, and we all think about all the stuff we have to start doing, and we're saying we're already too busy, already have too much to do. Sometimes it's a not to do list. In fact, I'm going to say that's more important. What's the number one thing that I need to stop today? That if I just get rid of that completely, it'll have the most positive impact on my life. Maybe it's one particular food that you eat. Maybe it's one particular habit that you have. Maybe it's one particular attitude that you give into. I don't know what it is, but you do. I would guess that if you went back through this and watched this whole thing again with this in mind, if I'm going to look for that one thing, it would stick out. I bet right now it's shouting at you. You know the one thing you need to start doing and the one thing you need to stop doing that would make all the difference. Here's my encouragement. Take that thing, start to practice it daily. Just make a commitment to one thing. Don't try to commit to 15. And that'll take you where you need to go. 3 great offers today to finish up with. Email me and I'll email you a PDF of the slides. Second, I will email you related articles. I have 3 picked out. They'll be a surprise. Be glad to send them to you. And then a very special offer today, 30 minutes. If you just want somebody to talk to about this, to get some clarity, I will give you 30 minutes of my time if you just ask for it. Be glad to do that. So that's where we are today. Again, I've never had a complaint about ending early, so we are 5 minutes early. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye and sign off.